we're measuring rockets and horsepower. Like,
Mhm.
if you just,
How many
we don't
how
need
many
a rocket.
Chevys?
Gather 10 million horses, and we can get to the moon.
We should
Just
be
strap
doing
them
the
up, get
reverse.
some pulleys.
We should be doing the reverse. We should be measuring horses in rocket power. We should be like, this winning horse at the Kentucky Derby is 0.0001 rocket power.
Gentlemen, question number 1. Let's kick things off with a puzzle. Imagine that in front of you, you have an object that is at most 128 pounds. It is on one end of a classic seesaw balance scale. In another room, you have dumbbell weights ranging from 1 pound up to 128 pounds. You can grab as many of these as you want. Then you won't be able to go back into that room with all the dumbbell weights.
Mhm.
Assuming this mystery object is an integer number of pounds from 1 to 128, and you want to minimize the number of individual dumbbells you grab, how heavy is the heaviest weight you grab from the other room? So, while they think about that, welcome to the Evil Trivia Podcast. I'm Graham. I'm joined by Leo and Trevor. And if you want to play along with us, join us over at eviltrivia.com/Patreon or patreon.com/eviltrivia. Both will take you to the right place. And you can see these questions and more from our in-person trivia here in New York City. As always, round 1 is the hidden theme round. In round 1, all 8 answers, not the questions, but the answers will relate to the same hidden thing. They'll have something connecting them. So as Trevor and Leo are answering these trivia questions, they will be trying to figure out what the hidden theme is. And if they figure it out, it'll help them with some of the questions they don't already have. I know I've given you sort of a complex one to start with, unless you've heard this one before. Do either of you have any guess as to what this could be?
So I have a guess, but I'm sure I've heard variants of this before, probably through you, honestly. But I feel like 97 to 98% of the puzzle, the puzzles I absorb into my brain these days are from Graham. So I've probably heard something similar. I have a sort of an initial idea that I haven't worked through to prove that it's correct. What about you, Trevor?
I don't know that I have a good answer here. If I were to go out, blindly in the dark, I would say it has something to do with powers of 2, just because 128 is such a
That's exactly where I was going.
Yeah. So are we grabbing weights just by powers of 2, starting at 64 and going down?
Yeah, I mean, if you imagine that the weight that you had was, let's say, 8 pounds, and you had to grab weights, all you would need, as far as I can tell, is 1, 2, 4.
Right.
Because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Oh, except you don't have 8.
Right.
So if the hidden mystery weight was 8, and you
don't need to meet the weight. You just need to figure out that is the weight. So if you put 7 on the weight, then you would know that it's 8 because it's too heavy. Yeah.
So as far as I can tell, you just need to do powers of 2 going up to half of the total weight.
Yeah. To be very clear, you don't need to balance the scale. You just need to figure out how heavy that mystery weight is.
Yeah.
Then I feel reasonably confident it is 64, in which case I'm immediately thinking about video game consoles.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily mean that's what it is, but that's what I'm immediately thinking.
Very interesting. We'll move right along to number 2.
Yeah.
The word paparazzi, this is a great random bit of trivia that I came across. The word paparazzi comes from the name of a character in an iconic 1960 Fellini film named Paparazzo, an intrusive news photographer. Very simple question here. What is the title of that film?
I think I know this. Do you, Trevor?
I do not.
I, at some point, have heard this fact before. And if it's the film I think it is, I have also seen the film, although I saw it so long ago, I don't remember the character in the film. I think it's Fellini's 8.5 is the film, but I'm 90% sure on that. I'm not 100, but I'm 90% sure that it's 8.5.
with a confidence level of 90% and another number to answer, I'd say you're probably on the right track. So you're saying that the film was called 9.5?
No, the film's called Eight and a Half, I think.
8.5. Okay.
Great movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful.
It is. It's got one of the most amazing.
If that's what it is, Greg.
If that's what it is, great movie.
If that's what it is, it's a great film.
It's got one of the most amazing ending scenes in film where everything kind of goes. It's got kind of this like film within a film thing or show within a show going on, and everything kind of goes off the rails. And yeah, it's wacky but brilliant. Well worth a watch.
All right, we'll move on to number 3. Let's see if your pattern holds. Number 3. In 1947, a New York City motorman suffered a heart attack while driving a packed subway train, yet the train immediately rolled safely to a stop. This safety feature is something you can find on things like treadmills, chainsaws, and MRI machines, and has what sort of dark name? I'll read it one more time. In 1947, a New York City motorman suffered a heart attack while driving a packed subway train, yet the train immediately rolled safely to a stop. This safety feature is something you can find on things like treadmills, chainsaws, and MRI machines, and has what sort of dark name?
So my initial thought, there's a couple of different things that it could be, but assuming that it's a dark name, I'm going to say it's something like a dead man switch or a kill switch, which operates when the operator loses control of the device, loses control of the device in the way that it was intended. Then the machine will shut down. It's kind of a failure to a known state kind of mechanism.
Yeah, I have also heard the term dead man switch. And what's interesting about that is that switch fits the theme we were thinking about, which is video game consoles.
Games, yeah.
But 8.5
Nintendo
does
consoles.
not. So maybe I'm wrong about Fellini. But yeah, I think
let's think about that.
Dead man switch I feel pretty confident about. I've definitely heard that term before.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay.
In what context are you hearing that term a lot?
Movies.
in terms of people, in terms of people like Trevor getting nerdy about engineering shit, you know.
Failure.
I actually have in my notes here to come back to this question. My note is just make Trevor talk about the layers of safety. We'll come back. That'll be a sneak preview from we're finished the round, and Trevor gets to talk about safety. This is like a monologue I've heard Trevor give like 4 times, and every time it's equally interesting. It's great.
You have to keep people from hurting themselves.
Okay. Number four. What 2024 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee was the first group to receive a 5 mic rating from the magazine The Source for their debut 1990 record People's Instinctive Travels and the Paths of Rhythm, shaping the entire decade of music in their genre? Number 4 again, I'll read again. What 2024 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee was the first group to receive a 5 mic rating from the magazine The Source for their debut 1990 record, People's Instinctive Travels and the Paths of Rhythm, shaping the entire decade of music in their genre?
I'm afraid I don't know this one off the top of my head, but we can logic our way to something, I think.
Okay.
The one group that popped into my head, because he did specify it was a group, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The one group that popped into my head who appeared at the beginning of the 1990s and who defined their genre, which is hip hop, is A Tribe Called Quest. However, and they often in their titles did stuff like People's Instinctive, you know, that kind of sounds like a Tribe Called Quest album. But I don't know for sure. I haven't heard of that album. I know that they're very well reviewed. I think I even maybe remember that they got inducted into the Hall of Fame, but I could be making that up now that I've heard the question. But so far, they're the one that have popped into my head, but I'm totally open to being wrong about that.
I do not. I don't have nearly as good of a reason to think that that's who it is, but that's also who I think it is, mainly because I've heard them described as having defined the genre of hip hop. and being very well regarded and very highly recommended. So that I'm on board with you on that. And the some words in there do hint towards a little bit of this video gaming Nintendo-esque thing that we're moving towards.
Is there a console that's like the something Quest?
I think it might not be consoles specific. Maybe it is, but I don't know that it's console specific. But yeah, the Quest, I want to say, I don't think it's Tribe. I think it's Quest. There have been a couple of curious Nintendo Quest related, I don't know, peripherals or games or things like that. Let's keep going, but Quest
Very,
is definitely fitting into that.
Number five. We are more than halfway through our hidden theme round. Number 5, one of the most famous pieces of Renaissance art shows a famous mythical structure imagining a monolingual humanity. From what book of the Bible did artist Peter Bruegel get this idea? I'll read it one more time, maybe a little bit better. One of the most famous pieces of Renaissance art shows a famous mythical structure imagining a monolingual humanity. From what book of the Bible did artist Peter Bruegel get this idea?
So this is the Tower of Babel story about the all the unified peoples in the world building a tower to challenge God, and they are struck down with the inability to properly communicate with one another. That story, if childhood church stories
Indoctrination
serve me, if childhood indoctrination serves me well, that is from the book of Genesis. That's very early on in the history of man, prehistory, as you will. So I would say Genesis, which does fit with this early, the Genesis, the Sega Genesis would
Sega
fit
Genesis,
this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very interesting.
Okay.
We're going to move right along to question number 6.
Graham's doing to us what I do to teams at trivia, which is where I go up and look at their answers, and I just nod and go, interesting. And they hate it.
Yeah, teams hate it. Actually, it's funny. Like, there are some teams that will, like, I'll walk up to them at the bar.
Yeah.
Look at the answers, and they have like started to do the opposite. So like some teams that have been there for a while do one of two things. When I walk up, they either hide it from me because they're just like, I don't want the
influence,
tackling, the influence, whatever. Because usually I'm like, oh, you guys are terrible at this, regardless of if they have a lot of questions right or wrong. But then some teams do the opposite, which is I walk up and they just hold it up and try to read my face. They'll point to the hidden theme and be like, what does this do anything for you? As if they're sliding me a crisp dollar bill.
Yeah. Please, sir, may I have a hint?
Yeah. Question number 6.
Incredible.
What is the only launch vehicle to carry humans beyond low Earth orbit, as it did 9 times from 1968 to 1972 out of the Kennedy Space Center? What is the only launch vehicle to carry humans beyond low Earth orbits, as it did 9 times from 1968 to 1972 out of the Kennedy Space Center?
Is this the shuttle? I mean, how could it not be the shuttle? But that doesn't fit as cleanly into our
Was it just called the shuttle? Was there
I know. I'm trying to think about that.
What is the launch vehicle?
Because of course a lot of the vehicles have names, so I wonder if there's one, like Apollo and Gemini and stuff. I wonder if there's another something that it could be.
That's very curious. Launch vehicle is such a curious term because that means it comes along with all of the like first and second stage rockets and things like that. So was there
only one to carry humans beyond low Earth orbit? Only one until today.
Yeah, because they stopped.
You can think about what things might be outside of low Earth orbit as I move on to number 7.
Yeah.
Number 7. Life before Google Maps was so annoying. What should be a simple hop, skip, and jump could have taken you from Ithaca to Aeolus, then a bag of wind blows you to Aenea, where you're turned into pigs, then to Oceanus, where you sort of die, then back home. If all of this happened to you and then some, you may be in what story? I'll read it one more time. Life before Google Maps was so annoying. What should be a simple hop, skip, and jump could have taken you from Ithaca to Aeolus, then a bag of wind blows you to Aenea, where you're turned into pigs, then to Oceanus, where you sort of die, then back home. If all of this happened to you and then some, you may be in what story?
So I feel confident I have the answer. Leo, did you want to jump in?
No, I also know it, but be my guest.
So this should be the Odyssey. That those little sort of subtle references to Odysseus's maligned journey back from the war, in particular getting turned into pigs. So if it's the Odyssey, because we don't know that, if it's the Odyssey, we're 98% sure, but if it randomly were some off-brand one of Homer's contemporaries who wrote a very similar but not the Odyssey story, if it were the Odyssey, we're back. I don't think it's video game consoles. I think it's Mario games, and that's been something I've kind of. But that makes the Genesis question
Genesis,
hard.
Yeah.
I know, but like Mario Quest, Mario 64, Mario 8.5. Man,
tough one.
Definitely a tough one.
I think 8.5 is wrong. We'll have to come back to it.
I don't think 8.5 is wrong. There are. Oh, I think they're all like subtitles to video games, because 8.5 would be like Kingdom Hearts. They have game titles that are halves in a ridiculous way. I think they're all game titles that follow like semicolons. That would be my guess. But let's come back to it. Let's get more. Shut up.
We'll do number 8, and then I'll give you guys some time to spin your wheels a little bit. Number 8. What genus of wild cat? So I'm looking for a one-word answer here. What genus of wild cat, known for a distinct bow tie tuft of hair under its chin, includes the species the bobcat? Number 8 again. What genus of wild cat, known for a distinct bow tie tuft of hair under its chin, includes the species the bobcat? Ooh. Stumper again. Wow.
Well, it's because I don't know the answer, but I'm skipping ahead to the hidden theme.
It's funny because like the last one we did where I hosted, or maybe two before that, it was like you guys had like answer. So I was like, all right, maybe I'll overcorrect a little bit and let you guys squirm.
Do it. Make it hard. Make us squirm. Okay.
No. What is it? No more hints. What did you say? Or fewer hints.
Fewer hints.
Yeah.
Fewer hints.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about a genus of. The only genus of cat that I know is Panthera, which is like Panthera leo for the lion and stuff like that.
I will say it is like a common word. It can also appear like you would like
it's not the Latin name necessarily.
No, it's not like a Latin name. It might be Latin. It probably is Latin, but like you wouldn't. It's not like it doesn't sound like an overly technical word. It's like a common word.
Okay. All right.
So is it what? Yeah, lynx.
But I think lynx is a species, not a genus, I think.
But is it like a it's a species that is named from, it's like the main member of its species. Well, so what are all the kind of medium cats? You've got
bison.
Panther, bison. You've got canis, lupus. So you've got puma, lynx, jaguar.
Yeah,
cut to my stagehand.
Yeah, I think lynx is the only word that comes to mind. I had thought that lynx was a species, but it's possible, in the same way that Panthera is the genus name for lion, but we still call things panthers. Maybe Lynx is the same thing. It's the genus name, but we call things. But is Lynx a video game thing? I mean, I'm sure there's tons of consoles, if it is consoles, that I don't know. I could also see Odyssey being a console. But then we'd need a console from... Yeah, I know. You're still thinking it's
I know, it's Mario games. Yeah.
Because what have we got? Should we recap our answers? So we've got 64, which we feel very confident about. 8.5, which we're not so confident about.
I thought we were very confident about 8.5.
I know it's a Fellini film. I do not remember Paparazzo in it, or Paparazzi, whoever it is.
Okay.
Oh no, the character is named Paparazzo. Yeah, because paparazzi is the plural. So if it's only one of them, it's a paparazzo.
Dead Man's Switch.
Dead Man's Switch, which obviously with Nintendo Switch makes us think consoles. Tribe Called Quest, which I don't know as a console. I mean, it could also be.
It is a console. It's a VR console.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Sega Genesis, which definitely is a console, but could also be something else. The Low Earth Orbit, which, in order to carry humans beyond Low Earth Orbit, I mean, maybe it was just the one that went to the moon. I mean, right? That's beyond Low Earth Orbit. Did they go all the way in the launch vehicle?
The thing that's throwing me off about it not being the shuttle is that we do still get humans into space today. And I know that they've retired it, but what then is the vehicle that they're getting humans into space?
But when they get humans into space today, are they just going into LEO? Right?
Slingshot.
Is the space station
Fair enough.
in LEO? Yeah. Because it said it did it 9 times between 68 and 72. To me, that sounds like the Apollo missions.
It's the Apollo missions that take place in the shuttle. But Apollo.
But could it just be Apollo? Is Apollo
a vehicle?
I'm not super confident in that, but I think that's what it's referring to, is those missions. But I don't know the name of the vehicle.
No, I agree. I agree it's those missions, but is that the vehicle?
And then it's Odyssey, which we feel pretty good about. And then it's maybe Lynx. So I feel like we're not super confident in Apollo.
Lynx or Jaguar could be old. In fact, I believe the Jaguar is an old handheld device.
Okay.
It's an old like a Game Boy or a.
I don't think that bobcats are a type of jaguar, though. I just don't think that they're. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're much bigger in a different family. But I'm not so dead on that. And also this Fellini film, I don't feel. Maybe it's a different Fellini film, that has a. Oh my God, I'm an idiot. It's a different Fellini film. I've just tried to think of other Fellini films.
All right. What's your second favorite Fellini film?
literally, one of his other most famous films has a video console in the title, and I didn't even think it's La Dolce Vita, surely, because PS Vita is a thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's got. So
it's definitely. I was so
confident in 8.5 that I didn't even think about. So it's got to be La Dolce Vita.
Okay. All right. So what are we missing then? We're still missing the shuttle.
You guys don't have a confident answer for 6 or 8, I believe.
Yeah, 6 is the shuttle, and 8 is the one we.
4 you guys haven't really locked in.
What was that? Tribe Called Quest. Yeah,
unless you'd like to lock it in.
If it is a Tribe Called Quest,
I would keep a Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah, I feel confident in the answer. I just don't know 100% how it fits to the theme, but I think Trevor probably does.
The Quest, yeah. If it's video game consoles, the Quest is fine. It's a VR.
I mean,
console.
Trevor's like 20 years older than me, so he was around for all those early consoles. So.
The Quest is a modern VR headset. In fact, I think Graham has one.
Talking about.
Man, I hear you on the big cat thing. Trying to make a video game console out of a Lynx.
Yeah,
is tougher than.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it's not Jaguar. Can we talk about other, real briefly, while we have time? Can we talk about a different medium-sized cat?
Yeah. So Bobcat was the one in the question.
Yeah.
lynx. Jaguar, you're right. They're a little bigger, but that's possible. Panther, which is again a little bigger.
Mountain lion,
Oh yeah, cougars. Yeah, yeah.
cougar.
They're the same thing, aren't they? Mountain lion, cougar, and puma. They're all the same. Puma, but that's not a
Mm-mm.
no.
You guys
No.
want little nudges for the two you're missing?
No.
Okay.
Unless Leo, do we want? Maybe we do. I'm
With the look
still
on your
as
face,
much
with
as like
the-
good podcasting is hearing you guys going, oh, could be this.
You could just cut it in post.
I'm not
We'll
gonna
get
do
there.
that.
I feel
Graham,
I'm not
Graham-
adding more work. They're gonna have to listen to your ums and uhs.
I feel based on the hidden theme, I feel more confident about Jaguar than I did before. But I'm willing to say I might be missing the forest for the trees on that one.
Maybe we can.
So the
submit two
shuttle, I
different
guess.
Let's submit two different answers. You submit Jaguar, and I'll
No,
We
submit
go
you
in
guys
as a
are a
team.
team.
You go in as a team. We're
Absolutely not.
shackled together. The shuttle. I have a
Is
very hard
Apollo a
time.
video game console? Do you think? I don't know.
I don't know. It's not ringing any bells like it would be
Okay.
Apollo vehicle.
If you guys
It's a
want,
better
you guys
name
can
for
submit.
a.
You guys can submit, and you can just got some right and wrong.
We could just be wrong. Yeah.
Right. Well, for the sake of the poor audience member who's listening to this, let's.
So are we splitting? You'll take Apollo and I'll take Jaguar. No. We're not splitting, but we're splitting a share of the answers that we're taking a guess on.
I don't know how confident I feel about Apollo or Lynx. I'm happy for you to override either or both of them if you want to.
Okay, so what are we doing? What are we doing for number 4? Or sorry,
So-
number
6.
Sorry, which one was the?
It's six is the
Six.
is low
Six
Earth
is
orbit.
the beyond low Earth orbit.
Need an answer.
If you had to give an answer for 6, what would you give?
Me?
Apollo.
No, not you. All right, then let's go
Yeah,
Apollo
yeah,
for
Graham.
6.
If you had to give an answer for six, what would you give?
I don't
Yeah.
want his answers.
And then number
Then we have
8.
to accept his lip. And then number 8, I'm going to say Jaguar.
Sure.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
Let's review. So your answers, you have 64. Then you said La Dolce Vita. Then you said Dead Man's Switch. Then you said A Tribe Called Quest. Then you said Genesis. Then you said Apollo. Then you said The Odyssey. And then you said Jaguar. Your hidden theme guess officially is...
Video game consoles.
So I can tell you that your hidden theme guess is correct.
Woohoo!
You have 2 incorrect answers.
God.
It's Apollo
Yeah.
and Jaguar, isn't it?
Well, you guessed Apollo.
we guessed,
Yeah.
and we guessed
yeah,
Jaguar.
Yeah, I'm saying
Those are the
those
two
are the wrong.
Mm-mm.
The funny thing is, the Jaguar is a console from the same company, Atari,
No.
but that is the Atari Lynx.
No.
Yeah,
Hoisted by our own petard.
By the Lynx.
No.
There are species that we refer to as lynx, like the Eurasian lynx,
Sure.
whatever, but like the genus is lynx and then something else.
Rats.
Yeah, which was
Damn
funny
you,
because
Atari.
this did come up in trivia not too long ago, and I was worried that you guys remember. As
Hilarious.
well as number 1 was a puzzle in a past trivia. So when Leo was like, "Oh, this is familiar," I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit."
Shit. What was the other one we got wrong?
The launch vehicle. I think you'll have heard of it if I say it out loud, but it's sort of tough to describe because like some people think about like the lunar module, but the launch vehicle is like physically the rocket that is taking them into space. And that was like the one that was like used over and over again for all the Apollo missions and everything, 9 times used for Skylab. That is the Saturn V rocket. And
Saturn, damn it!
Yeah. Console.
Yeah. I have vaguely heard of it, but I don't think I would have ever pulled that from the depth of my brain where it lives. So
Saturn
that one I don't feel so bad about.
I might
Lynx,
have, yeah.
The other thing I should have said about Lynx, and this is kind of cheating, but Graham did mention when I pressed him that it might be the Latin name, and I should have, of course, said it can't be Jaguar because the Romans didn't use the letter J. So I should have said that it probably couldn't be
rats.
that, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, Lynx. Atari,
Yeah.
you bastards! It was a bunch of wildcats.
Yeah, we had the Minnesota Lynx as an answer not too long ago, and we referenced the fact that it's a type of bobcat, or a bobcat's a type of lynx in the question.
Nice.
What was that? Was that for like a round on deodorants or something?
It was a round on, it was called To the Max. Answers are 2 words. The first word has M, the second word has X, and there's an A between them. Example, Montreal Expos. So we had Amarillo, Texas, Malcolm X, Minnesota Lynx, Amazon Alexa, income tax, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
All right, let's review. So the first one was the puzzle. The puzzle, I don't have anything really that interesting to say about the puzzle other than the fact that you guys nailed the powers of 2 thing. Anytime you see a puzzle in Evil Trivia or anywhere else, like, and any number that is given is a power of 2, that's always how you get the answer. So 128 is like a dead giveaway. There are some puzzles where you can give it and the number in it isn't a power of 2. Like my favorite example is the wine bottle problem, which I'll say in a second. But basically, and I'm kind of giving it away, but you can say 1,000 and, you know, the answer still is powers of 2. But the wine bottle problem, without getting into too much detail about it, is how do you determine which wine bottle has poison in it if you only have 10 poison testers? And you can actually test up to 1,024 bottles. If you're listening, you have no idea what this puzzle is. This is maybe my favorite puzzle. Look it up. It's been in trivia before, but look it up. It's a fantastic puzzle with a great, really elegant, fun solution to it.
Just on the note there of the number 128 kind of giving the game away. Do you think you would consider, when we put this in trivia, that would make it too obvious? Should we change it to 127 and change the phrasing that you have to find the exact weight of the thing?
Yeah,
or something. I mean, maybe 127 might still give it away, but
scale.
You have to balance the scale. Yeah. I just wonder about trying to make it a bit harder.
Yeah, we could. I mean, I kind of like people getting it, but you know, like when the puzzle's like too tough and people don't understand it, it's like oh, I had no idea you had to do that. But yeah, we could make it harder. If you're listening to this after attending trivia and you were like, that puzzle was way too hard, you can blame Leo.
Or we don't change it.
Let's change it.
And it's too late now, Leo.
It's funny because
the wheels of progress.
The people who come to trivia, you know, it's a real mixed bag of hardcore nerds. I know that, for example, there is a math teacher who comes to trivia, or 2 math teachers who come to trivia, and then people who truly could not add 2 and 3 together. And so then the puzzle for some people, like,
just so I understand, what is 2 plus 3?
I can't remember.
It's an integer.
But it's funny because then you have to weight the puzzles, because some people find them way too easy and some way too hard, and it's impossible to get it perfect. But
yeah. Well, I feel like there are like we go between like math puzzles and logic puzzles and word puzzles and stuff, and I think the ones that people by far struggle the most are the math puzzles.
Yeah.
La Dolce Vita was the next question, the PlayStation Vita. Leo, you nailed that. After having confidence 8.5.
I got so hung up on 8.5.
I feel a little bit bad when you were like 8.5. It's a great movie, and I was like, yeah, but it is a great movie.
but we knew what you were doing. Trevor even said,
bastard, if that's what it is.
Yeah, Trevor even said, if that's what it is.
8.5 is a fantastic movie. There are some fun little fun facts about this movie. My favorite of which, I wasn't even going to put this in. I had a completely different question written, and I was looking for facts about this movie, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, this is too interesting to just leave out on the periphery. This is going to be the question. So paparazzi comes from the name of a character in La Dolce Vita called Paparazzo, who was like a news photographer, intrusive news photographer. There are fun like words that come from movies. There should be a Wikipedia page about this. There isn't. Maybe we should make one. My favorite of which, and I think everybody kind of knows this at this point, it's not that interesting, but gaslighting comes from the title of a 1944 film called Gaslight and the play that came before it in 1938. Do you guys know like the plot or like anything about this movie?
I was going to say, I knew it came from a movie, but I've never put together why that's where the term came from.
So the funny thing is that this movie never existed.
You're
You
such a
think it did,
bastard.
but
You're such a rad bastard.
no, but
Yeah.
isn't it about literally that like there's a it's a relationship and then the guy convinces the girl she's going crazy because of the gas from the gaslight is like making her go crazy or something? Is it?
It's lead in the paint.
I will be honest, I haven't seen it, but my
Oh,
research about this was that he is trying to convince her that she's crazy to get like a treasure. And he does a bunch of things in the house, including dimming the lights. Yeah, so it's about like
Yeah.
dimming the gas lights in the movie. I don't think it has anything to do with like the like gas has like fumes in her face, but I could be
okay.
wrong. If I'm wrong, write into the show.
How do they
Get in
do
the,
that,
get in the
Graham?
comments.
There are some words that have popped up that are like not from movies, but are very popular because of certain movies, like The Manchurian Candidate popularized the term brainwash. Which is super interesting.
Yeah.
It was like sort of existed in intelligence circles, but this film sort of like embedded it in the public vocabulary. Brainwash.
On this Wikipedia page, are we going to include words that come from like books and literature, like robot?
Oh yeah, we could do
But,
robot. I mean,
if we do
Asimov.
if we do words that come from literature, then Shakespeare and the Bible.
yeah, you could do a Shakespeare and Bible whole.
Skip them. Give them their own Wikipedia pages.
I've got a good words or things from movies where there's a phrase that we commonly use now that comes from a movie from the 90s, but the movie from the 90s stole it from a movie from the 40s. So it's like a double layered one, which is The Usual Suspects. So the movie The Usual Suspects, which is obviously an amazing film, came out in the 90s, and that really repopularized people saying, "Oh yeah, that's just The Usual Suspects."
It's The Usual Suspects.
But they took it from one of the famous lines from Casablanca, which is where the chief says to round up the usual suspects, which I don't know if that was the first ever usage of that phrase, but it was in that, then it was in the film, then now we do it today. So that's kind of
now
like a double
hilarious
one.
Common phrase. That's super
That's
interesting.
very cool. Yeah.
Huh. I like that.
This
movie was super controversial upon release among like Italian censorship. The Catholic Church attempted to block it. The Vatican newspaper printed a bunch of denunciations of the film. Fellini's local priest refused him in communion. And all of these things became really popular around the world, in like the Western world, and like helped boost ticket sales and make the movie more famous. Like one of those classic examples of like the Streisand effect, right? Where it's like,
you try to tamp something down.
Yeah, exactly. And it becomes more popular because the act of trying to censor it makes people want to see it more. It's like, oh my God, I have to see this movie that's like making the church freak out. It was on like Roger Ebert's like 10 best movies for decades, in Sight and Sound. Very, very popular movie. If you were to say what's the most popular Fellini film, I think you would do either 8.5 or La Dolce Vita.
Did the Catholic Church ever come back and re-accept La Dolce Vita into their canon? Because sometimes they'll do that. They'll like, when they're very anti something, sometimes they'll later come back and go, we think we've put them in the corner for long enough. in the year 2027, they're going to re-accept La Dolce Vita. They'll accept that it's existed this whole time.
That's really good. That's a good question. I don't know. Right into the show. And
get in the comments.
Yeah. But you have to write. You have to write a physical letter.
Robert, if you're listening, I'm calling him Pope Robert, by the way.
Why?
Pope Bobby.
His name's Robert.
But that's not his chosen name.
Isn't his name Robert? Isn't his name Robert Prevost or something? Is his name Robert?
Yeah, but that's not the name he chose as Pope.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm calling him Pope Bobby because it's hilarious.
Yeah, but I want you to say his real Pope name because it's the best name.
There's been like 15, 16 Leos. Like, it's fine. We can have one.
It's because it's the best one. It's because it's the best one.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Trevor.
Bobby.
Also, side note, I had to double check this, but I had remembered another film quote fact, which I think is a really good one. and I had to double check it, but it is true, that the bucket list comes from the movie The Bucket List.
I was looking at this one and I was like,
Really?
is this true? And then like I couldn't find, but yeah, okay, you found a good source
Definitive.
for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, that's a
That's
good
very
one
cool.
because that movie is like pretty recent. That's like a 2009 movie or something.
Yeah, 2000s movie, and it's Jack Nicholson and
Morgan
Freeman.
Yeah.
But as far as we can tell, we only use the term a bucket list, because we've had kicking the bucket for a while, as a phrase, to kick the bucket, and it's possible that someone used the phrase bucket list before that, but it was definitely
to describe their list of collected buckets.
Yeah.
All right, and the next question.
All right, I've waited long enough.
Well, hold on. We'll get to you, Trevor. Go on mute for 5 minutes. So I was writing this question and I was looking at this story about the New York City subway train operator who suffered the heart attack. You guys nailed it with Dead Man Switch. It's different than a kill switch. In fact, we might want to have a conversation of whether we should even accept kill switch or not, because a kill switch is something that you would actively press to kill something. A dead man switch is if you stop operating the thing, or like you become incapacitated or some way, or leave the room in some way or something, stop doing your task, then the thing stops. So the difference between a kill switch and a dead man switch. Speaking of differences between things, I learned this where I'm writing this question. Train operator / motorman. Motorman is what they used to be called. Train operator is like more common now. Do you know the difference between a motorman and a conductor?
A motorman and a conductor. Does the conductor have some ability to change the direction in the switches where a motorman doesn't? They're just operating speed. No. So that was my best guess.
The New York City subway still has a train operator and a conductor. The conductor is responsible for like safety, like responsible for like opening and closing the doors, making announcements, making sure people are boarding the train, that kind of thing. The motorman is the person who actually like operates the train, like
drives the train.
Yeah, exactly. Which I was like, I thought a conductor was sort of both things, I guess.
Also, yeah,
it makes sense that they're separate jobs. Anyway, Dead Man Switch is a type of safety thing. Sometimes the back in the day, the New York City motormen were notorious for defeating the switch by like putting like a thermos on the switch, and so they redesigned it so the required pressure subtly operates. Subtly oscillates. So you can't just put like one steady thing on it. You have to like
they'll fall over.
It's like registering like changes in the pressure. But
interesting.
Trevor, tell us.
Pull Trevor's string and then let him just go. I've been thinking throughout the entire trivia which of my spiels I would go down.
Well, I want you to talk about like the layers of safety. Like the first layer is like training. Whatever. I think that's because a dead man switch
what you want to hear.
The dead man switch is the third layer, right?
A dead man switch would be a third layer. So the layers are for OSHA safety. You nailed it. First is training, teaching people to do things in a safe way. The first one is PPE, just like having safer equipment to wear. The second would be training, teaching them how to do things safely. The third and fourth one kind of are designing into the actual engineering for the equipment. You cannot do this. You cannot operate this thing unsafely. Like the perfect example is that oscillating dead man switch, where even though someone could rig the normal one by putting a thermos on it or by strapping it down, they've now introduced a new thing that doesn't make the train run any faster. It doesn't do any of that any better. But what it does is it keeps the operator from operating the train unsafely. Is a lot of what gets baked into that. Other things, and this was kind of the other direction that I was going to go, is failure to a known state. Like if something doesn't work correctly, does it blow up? Does it overreact? Does it break down? Or does it slow? Does it stop? Does it seize up? And in fact, one of the most interesting train related failure to a known state are crossing guards. Crossing guards at like train crossings are held up by electricity. When they lose power, they slowly drop back down. When they're in an unpowered state, they drop back down. And the way that train crossings work is they have nodes that are attached to the rail, and when the train approaches, it kills the power to the crossing guards. And
That's
so
super
there's no operation, there's no like electronics involved, and like, oh, a train is coming, we need to put the guard down. As the train approaches, it cuts the power to the guards, and so the guards drop on their own. That's why when they're doing work on
like
it,
this. It's so interesting.
yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool.
Yeah,
anyways, that's what I got.
All right,
Squeezed
Trevor,
into 45 seconds.
You can drop off now. Leo and I will
Thanks,
take
guys.
it from
Great
here.
to see you. Yeah, back to the interesting trivia.
I can't match that, but one thing that I did learn that I find very interesting about, I guess it's the conductors, not the others. I mean, I guess in the New York City subway, so you're saying that each train has two humans, a conductor and what was the other one?
Motorman or train operator. I think motorman's an outdated term.
Okay, so the operator must be at the very front of the train.
Yes, and the conductor's in the middle.
Conductor's in the middle, and the conductor in the middle.
They're the one that points to the sign. Yes,
that's what I wanted to talk about. Is that this wonderful thing where if you ever in the middle of the platform and you see the conductor, when they stop and they'll point to the black and white striped sign. And I think this comes from Japan. I believe Japan were the ones who kind of originated the idea of conductors doing a lot of hand signals and saying stuff out loud as they were going about their job, because exactly true, yeah, they're voguing as they go, because they found that it lowered accidents a huge amount just simply by having them do they were like, oh, we noticed that if our conductors have to point every time they perform this operation, then the likelihood of forgetting to do it drops drastically because there's an action associated with it. And I think
Sorry, go ahead. I was saying, I think it's like it's also has to do with like it's them like confirming that they are like the train is like in the right place on the platform. So like the A and the C trains, I think the A and the C trains are one car different. I think the C only has 7 cars and the A is 8. Whatever. But like if you go to an AC station, there are different black line things have different like
to make sure
things on them to make sure that like because each train pulls up to like I think each conductor pulls up to a slightly different spot because the trains are like of slightly different length. But yeah, there's a lot of like hidden iconography and stuff in and things in subways that I find really, really interesting. Like this thing I jump on every single day, and it's like, oh, there's actually like a whole hidden world of icons and rituals and things that are super fun. I always like looking at the little security cameras that like, because like the Astor Place 6 train is like around a curb, so where the conductor is, because the conductor can't see down the train, there's little like TV security cameras so they can see like the ends of the train.
Cool.
I remember this story is about to expose me in a lot of ways, but I remember the first time I learned about train safety growing up was on my on the steam train in my garden. Now, bear with me. bear with me. I know everyone who's the one person who's listening can really relate to this. I mean, to be fair, if the one person who's listening is my brother, then he probably can relate to this. But which there's a high there's a high likelihood that the only person who's listening to this is Amshel. But basically, I remember growing up, we have a steam train in the garden, and it goes off from the stop, and then it's split. There's like there's like a single track, and then it does like a little loop, and then comes back on the little single track at the end. And there was a little, just a physical post, only 4 feet high, with a little metal hoop on it. And I remember seeing the train driver grab the hoop and take it off or put it back on when we would go around. And I was thinking, what on earth is that for? And I remember asking, and they were like, this is like the oldest form of health and safety, because it simply tells people whether there is a train out on the tracks or not. In case, for example, you need to run 2 trains at the same time, you know where the other train is. And it's a very simple fail-safe for like, if the physical object is there, that's what's happening. If the physical object is not, that's what's happening. And it was just like a really basic form of it. But I remember thinking like, wow, because I was, as a kid who grew up with technology, I was like, wow, this is genius. So this is what people did before technology did everything. They just had like
Yeah.
physical, I was probably like
That's
8
very
years
cool.
old and marveling at basic health and safety on trains.
We could have just a whole train podcast and it's like appeal to a very niche,
Very-
but wide-
Ironically, we may have more listeners.
yeah, exactly. Just turn it into a train podcast.
Well,
But I feel like people who are into
welcome-
trains that are listening to this are listening to everything we're saying, and they're like, obviously, like this is the most boring part of the episode for the train people.
Yeah. For people who are into trains, trains, what we're doing is like
Incredible.
so ground level stuff. Yeah.
The next question, and I'll go a little bit fast for the rest of these as we're coming up on an hour. But the next one was the Tribe Called Quest. I was looking up the source because I'm really interested in this magazine that popped up as a Harvard paper promoting a radio show and became in the course of not 7 years or something, one of the biggest music magazines in the country. The 1995 Source Awards had like a big effect on the hip hop landscape. It like escalated the East-West
rivalry,
hip hop rivalry, which ended up resulting in the murders of Biggie Smalls and Tupac. And in 1997,
allegedly,
Tupac's actually in Cuba. In 1997, the Source's circulation peaked at 317,000 copies, making it the highest selling music magazine in the country. It overtook Rolling Stone for a little while. I mean, it's just this like huge magazine that's still around today, but I just think it's like really cool that like a relatively specific, narrow scoped music magazine got so popular. And with
That's
Tribe,
cool.
they're credited with like the neo soul genre shaping hip hop in the 90s. You guys nailed that pretty quickly. And yes, the Meta Quest or Oculus Quest is the console there, with the last one obviously Nintendo Switch. But the Meta Quest, Oculus Quest, the VR headset console.
Excellent work.
Yeah.
Cool.
The next one you guys nailed immediately. This was the Tower of Babel from Genesis. Beautiful. I love like really epic, complex Renaissance art. So this is like one of my favorite things.
Yeah, cool.
There's a feast for the eyes, so much to look at. And it imagined a monolingual humanity, which is a word that I'm struggling saying, but I think it's an interesting word. Like monolingual is like a word that like, ironically, is a word that like it's just kind of an interesting word, like one language. And yes, God as a punishment confused their tongues. There's some interesting fun facts about the Tower of Babel. A much older Mesopotamian composition was called Enmerkar and the Lord of Errata. Also, it contains a line about a time when humans spoke a single language and God changed the speech in their mouths. And it predates the Hebrew text by like hundreds of years and shows like this like one language and then divine disruption. I just think it's interesting, like these old civilizations are thinking about like, oh, why do we all speak different things, and like are using God to explain the fact that there are different languages. And it's interesting as like the Genesis, like Adam and God like name things, like they name this, like language is a not a human construction but like a divine construction.
Sure.
And it's just interesting to like think about them trying to rationalize language as a divine construction and the fact that like, we all speak different languages. The Hebrew text, the Babel is a pun on Balal to confuse. So it was like kind of like not a joke, but like an interesting like play on words for the Tower of Babel. And Balal, also the name of like a demon.
And nowadays, the word where we say, to babble, Babble, does that come from Babel? That must be.
If you know the answer to that, please write into the show.
Get in the comments.
I have no idea. Maybe.
Probably.
Sounds like it should. Yeah.
I would be surprised, even despite the odd spelling. I would be surprised if Babel, Babble, didn't come from Babel, Babble.
Yeah, I'd be surprised too.
Although we pronounce it differently in England, we call it the Tower of Babel. I don't know why we do that, but
Yeah.
Sometimes
I say Babel. I don't know.
On the
Despite a
subject of
similar sound, its etymology is separate from biblical Tower of Babel.
Ooh,
It's
interesting.
some Proto-Germanic origin.
Cool. That's funny. That's
Middle English.
interesting that there's a case of two completely separate things
Similarly sounding,
yeah. Weird how language works. On the subject
Yeah.
of the Tower of Babel, I have two things. One, if there are people out there who haven't read Ted Chiang's short story
Yes.
about the Tower of Babel, I urge them to read it. It's from the
So
same
good.
collection. He's an amazing Chinese American author, sci-fi. He wrote the short story that became the movie Arrival, the
Cool.
Denis Villeneuve movie.
Others.
Cool, Great movie.
Stories of Your Life and Others. And in that collection of short stories, there's one about the Tower of Babel, which I think is absolutely brilliant, well worth a read.
So good.
But
The
also,
first one.
Cool.
it's the first story in it. But also, I was just talking last night with some folks about modern attempts to create a monolingual society, or a language that basically could bring us together again, like Esperanto or what's the other one? Lojlan. I can't remember the logical language. But there's basically tons of these attempts, especially post World War II, with all the fracturing of the world that happened in World War II. There were people who, out the back of that, said, what we need is common language, so that then we can talk to each other, and then we can empathize with each other more strongly, because we'll be talking the same language, and there'll be fewer international rivalries, which I think is just like a lovely idea. But Esperanto, and then it sort of never really took off.
There's a great, my favorite comic book series of all time is called Saga. It's not finished yet, and it's taken the authors a long time to finish it. So if you want to get into it, just know that you're like in a bit of a Winds of Winter kind of holding pattern with it. But it's amazing. And one of my favorite little details from it is there's like a whole alien race and alien language. There's a bunch of alien races, but like the main one speaks a specific language that's like the author's like, oh, we want to make it sound like completely foreign and nobody knows it and everything, but like didn't want to make up their own language system, so they just use Esperanto.
Conlang.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Alien
That's very cool.
Esperanto. And like you wouldn't know, like unless you know Esperanto,
Yeah, they don't
know.
Yeah.
It just looks like, but it's like a completely, you could translate everything. So some people have gone through and like translated conversations like, oh, this is what they're actually saying.
Very cool.
And of course, Genesis is a Sega console. The next one is also
that was my first console.
Oh yeah.
We're not gonna get into the anecdote about it, but yeah, that was my first video game console. Started me down a long and winding and unusual path.
You are quite unusual. The next one was the Sega Saturn V rocket. This is like launch vehicle rocket. There's a few different things you could call it, but Saturn V was like, it's like the most famous rocket basically in human history. Maybe one of the SpaceX ones like Falcon Heavy will overtake it or something, but like
sure.
Iconic. If you saw a picture of it, you'd be like, yes, that is like, it's very just an iconic shape, and the black and white on it is super cool. It was made by a Nazi, which, like one of those like classic, the director of the Saturn program was a Nazi that, got brought to the US and stuff. Just one of those like sweep it under the rug type of things, which
Operation Paperclip.
Yep, we definitely did right after. Yes, exactly. We did after World War II. But yeah, all the Apollo missions that went to the moon used it. The Skylab project used the Saturn V rocket. Of course, that wasn't leaving low Earth orbit, but like, making humans. This record, by the way, will not last. China is going to go to the moon.
Sure.
Trump has like said that he wants to send humans back to the moon. We'll see if that actually happens. But as of right now, as of the time of this recording, this is the only rocket to take people past low Earth orbit. Wow. Free drink question time. How many horsepower did it generate?
Tens of thousands. Hundreds of thousands. Like, what power of 10 is it? Is it tens or hundreds of thousands, do you think?
I have no concept of horsepower. Like, I just can't, I don't even know like what horsepower a car is on average. I just don't.
We're going to get there in a second, but
I'm going to say millions of horsepower.
I'm going to go slightly less. I'll say 250,000.
So the total of all of the rockets on
The total of all the rockets?
Yeah, well, the total of the Saturn
Tens of
V. Like,
millions.
the Saturn V is like comprised of, I
Stage
think,
1, stage 2.
two main
stages.
rockets.
Okay, yeah.
Or two main like actual boosters.
Mm-hmm.
A little over 10 million horsepower.
Wow.
But brings me to the thing I wanted to talk about, which is horsepower itself. It is the funniest unit of, it's not a real unit of measurement, and there's actually like a British horsepower and an American horsepower and slight differences between the two. But if you guys were to guess like where horsepower comes from and why it exists and why we use it and what it means, like what is your best guess at all those kind of things?
It was the amount of force, like feet pound torque required to move to do a unit of work similar to a horse at the time, like to measure the amount of freight moved from one space to another space by a well-fed, well-hydrated horse.
Yeah, pretty good, Trevor.
Yeah,
thank you.
The power of one horse.
Yeah,
James Watt invented it. It was actually a marketing term. He wanted to be able to translate how powerful his steam engines were and make it relatable to buyers used to like buy horses. So it's a marketing number, not a physics number, and that's why it like doesn't really have like an SI equivalent. It's equal to around 746 watts, but it's 550 foot-pounds per second. And he examined how horses could move a ton of coal. How long it took to move a ton of coal.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's a unit of power of watts.
But that's interesting. Well, I think it's interesting that one guy, James Watt, so he invented the term horsepower, and we call the power watt, the unit after him. So one guy, and he's got two units after him. So
yeah, and
an absolute unit of a guy.
I love the idea that we're measuring rockets and horsepower. Like how many
Chevys?
Now there are 10 million horses, and we can get to the moon.
We should be doing the reverse.
Get some pulleys.
We should be doing the reverse. We should be measuring horses in rocket power. We should be like, this winning horse at the Kentucky Derby is 0.0001 rocket power.
Rocket power TV show.
That's so funny. In cars, you are able to measure the output of a car engine by taking the torque. It's a slightly more complicated than this, but you take the torque that the engine is generating at that gear and multiplying it by the revolutions that the engine is taking. So your horsepower is actually changing dramatically throughout the time that you're driving, because it's this dynamic relationship between two different numbers that are constantly changing as the car is driving. It's very interesting how it gets applied and marketed and published and things like that. It's very cool.
Yeah. The next one was the next two are the toughest consoles. This one by far is the toughest one. But you guys nailed the answer, which is the Odyssey. The console is the Magnavox Odyssey. So this is definitely the toughest one. But I like having one very sneaky tough one in here.
Yeah.
Movie's coming out soon, so I'm not going to spoil anything other than what was already spoiled in the question.
Or what was spoiled in fucking thousands BC or whatever.
There's a lot of really interesting like theories and things about the translation that are super interesting. Like the crew gets drugged on lotuses, but lotuses weren't psychedelic, and the Greek word likely meant like a starchy North African like date palm fruit. So it was like, instead of being drugged out of their minds, it was like more to represent like cultural forgetfulness, abandoning Greek identity, not like chemically. There's like a lot of interesting things like that I'm interested to see how the movie is going to play with, unless they don't just have trip balls, which is like more common thing. Like the bag of winds that I referenced in the question represents or like reflects the way people used to think about wind, like pre-Socratic accounts of breath as a physical substance, pneuma as a physical substance. Breath was like a thing that you had,
a material, substance.
Yeah, so a bag of wind was like, okay, here's wind in this thing, physical thing.
Is that where we get the term windbag?
If you know the answer to that question, please write
Get in the comments. Get in here.
The upcoming film, the Christopher Nolan one, I think it's going to be his most expensive by quite a margin. It looks like it's 250 million.
Yeah. That's that. I just made a 3-hour epic win best about a historical figure win best picture. Give me all the money in the world.
Yes, please. Thank you.
I trust him completely. Like I love Christopher Nolan movies. I know that like among film circles, I think that's like not that as a super common opinion these days, but I think all of his movies are brilliant, and I'm really excited for the Odyssey, even though I'm a little bit like, really, you're doing the Odyssey? Like, come on, like that's it, like, the Odyssey. But
it's been done before. Yeah, some of his more exciting stuff, or the stuff that's a little bit more engaging for me, tend to be the more original sort of concepts and stories, things like that. But let's see.
Interstellar too. No, kidding, don't do that. And then the last one was the Lynx, Atari Lynx. Jaguar is funny because it is another Atari console, but that's the Lynx. Yeah, we had, like I said, we had that in earlier trivia. This question is just re-traumatizing me because the Jaguar was also a console I wanted very badly, and I did not get it as a child, and so this question has just dragged me back to that mud. Very failed consoles. Like, both of them were very bad products, or maybe
poor public.
The Lynx has a purr that is as loud as it goes as loud as 50 decibels, which is like a vacuum cleaner. Like if I were to turn my vacuum cleaner on, like that's how loud a Lynx can purr, which is pretty cool.
That's wild.
And you might hear in like ecology the bunny boom, lynx boom, like predator prey thing. So like this is like a very common example used in like freshman level biology classes to like explain equilibrium populations and stuff, but it's a real thing, like a 10-year predictability. It like oscillates every 10 years where there's like way too many bunnies and way too many lynxes and way too many bunnies. It's been happening for a long time, which is kind of an interesting one.
They're trying to Lynx it's been coming up in the news in the last few years in England a bit because they used to exist in the wild. And then they eventually they died off completely, but they're talking about maybe trying to reintroduce them, maybe in like some of the further reaches of Scotland or something.
This came up with hedgehogs too. You guys killed all the hedgehogs.
Well, no, the hedgehogs are still around. Hedgehogs are just dumb and slow, so they get killed. But the hedgehogs are still around. But Lynx has got. There used to be, because England now, the biggest natural predator we have in England is a fox. There's no bears, no wolves, no anything. There used to be wolves in Scotland.
Humans.
There used to be humans. There used to be wolves in Scotland. There used to be lynx as well around. And so now they're talking about trying to reintroduce them. Also, side note, really interesting that all three of us pronounce the J word differently. Because I say jaguar. And a jaguar, and then Graham says jaguar, and then Trevor says jaguar.
Right, a jaguar. That is very funny.
Jaguar.
Jaguar.
Now I don't know what I say. It's like babble. I think it's
this is how it happens.
But that's all I got. You guys did a great job. You missed only two questions. They were tougher ones. You should still feel good about yourself. Your head should be held high. It only reflects on your intelligence, so don't worry about it too much. And that's pretty much it. Any closing thoughts before I close this out with our usual thing?
No, I think it's a really solid round.
Great round. Yeah.
Cool. Really good round.
If you are listening to this, you've missed this trivia round in person, but keep tuning into the Evil Trivia podcast here, where we are going to be giving more rounds that we host in person in New York. If you live in New York, come out to Radagast or St. Tymphona's, where we have this trivia in person with a bunch of other rounds, visuals, music, challenges, puzzles, all that kind of stuff. And do follow us on Instagram at Evil Trivia, on Patreon at Evil Trivia, and we will see you next time. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.